Hello and welcome to the StatPad YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by Livingston fan Douglas Horn, and we're going to talk about Livingston. So, how are you, Douglas?
I'm good. Thank you very much to obviously Bobby for finding a Livingston supporter for you, and it's a pleasure to be here, Alex. So thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, obviously, Livingston aren't somebody who seems to get a lot of coverage. So I thought, what better place to start than themselves? Obviously, your season started with a 2-1 loss against Rangers, and we'll just kind of kick straight into that. A hard game to start with, but positives were definitely there to be seen.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think when I saw this game first out, I thought a tough game because everyone loves a battle at the Tony Macaroni. And I actually thought, I thought we defended very, very well. But I think the more the game went on, I think you were always going to get the goals in the end. And unfortunately for us, that you did. But no, I thought Joel Newbley was fantastic. I thought he led the line really, really well. It's really difficult being sort of the lone striker, but I thought he gave, I thought especially Suter. I think Suter's probably gone home that night and thinking, "Yep, I'm trying to get Joel Newbley out of my head," because he gave him an absolutely torrid time. And then I actually, as well, I thought Shamal George, the debutant goalkeeper, was outstanding. I mean, I think there was that save from Barisic onto the post, and then somehow he managed to save Tillman's effort. But do you know what? To go from a 3-0 defeat last season at Ibrox to only a 2-1 defeat, I'll take it.
Absolutely, and as like you say, Joel Newbley, who obviously spent half of last season on loan at Arbroath, it was his first goal as well for Livingston. He wasn't really, putting the ball in the back of the net for somebody like that. You could take a big confidence hit and kind of be a shadow of yourself. He looked superb, even at any point on the ball. I mean, he was holding it up well. He just looked superb
Yeah.
in general.
I was very impressed with him. We had a similar player. You'll probably remember this because he obviously scored the win against you, Dolly Menga. He kind
Yeah.
of reminded me a little bit of him last season, but he's if he can add goals to his game, then absolutely brilliant. I mean, we've obviously got Bruce Anderson in there. You've got Joe Newbley in there. Obviously, Andrew Shinnie as well. So I think there's definitely options now up front. We've been kind of lacking there a little bit. So I think to have them now sort of interchanging between each other. I thought Newbley was fantastic, and fingers crossed he can add goals to his game because he's a danger man. He's a danger man for any defenders, and he holds the ball up very well. He got some trickery as well for a big guy. Is quite strange to say that, but I actually thought he played really really well on Saturday.
He did, yeah, and obviously, yeah, like you say, Shamal George seemed to be a good. Is he obviously he wears the number one. Is he in
Yeah.
line then to take over as number one this season?
I think Martindale wanted a goalkeeper because the last couple of games in like the League Cup, like I think it was Max Strake came in, didn't do very well against our Albion Rovers, and then I think it was oh, what's his name, Connell Konovalov, I think his name is, something like that. I honestly, me with names is really really bad anyway, but yeah, he just wanted an experienced number one, and to obviously find Jamal George. Now, obviously, I'm a Liverpool supporter as well, so I remember Jamal George in the sort of the Liverpool youth ranks sort of coming through, and people said he had a high. He People said he had a bright future ahead of him, and he seems to have done well at Colchester. And yeah, I think he's the second highest transfer fee we've actually paid for a player. Um, my, the do you know the funny thing is, I think the only other player I can think of that we've actually made a transfer fee, I think, was David Fernandez. So that tells you a lot how our transfer business has happened. But Shamal George, I think he is definitely going to be a good number one. And also, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do this season because I think if you look at it, Strake is probably going to go. And then I think it's going to be a battle between George and Connell Love. I can't say that name anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I think I would struggle as well. Couple of decisions in the game I'll ask you about, and then we'll move on from Saturday. Obviously, Kankar seems to get maybe a bit lucky, maybe gets away with one, and some smart decision making by Martindale and the Livingston coaching staff to take off. I'll put you in. I'll put you on the spot and say, if you were the ref, has he been sent off there for you?
Yes. Yeah. I was watching it in here, and if I'm being honest, he was lucky. He was very, very fortunate. I mean, he's already on a yellow card anyway for. I think it was both on Scott Wright actually. It was like both fouls are on Scott Wright. So he's already on a yellow card for that, and then he brings him down. Now, I thought that Don Robertson was going to send him off. I thought he was going to send him off. So I thought it was very, very smart thinking from Martindale to just obviously get him off, because I think otherwise, another challenge, he would have been off. So yeah, I think we definitely got away with one there.
And then obviously, Martindale says in the post match, he says that Kamara got lucky as well. Obviously, he was on the yellow card, and then there was the collision at the edge of the box. Would you have maybe he got a little bit fortunate too?
I think it evens out over the season, doesn't it? I think if Kankar is lucky, I think Kamara is a little bit fortunate. But I think in that instance, I think you've got to say, I think the referee had an okay game. It was quite feisty actually in the first half, I thought, as well. But if Kankar goes, then you probably could say that Kamara does potentially go as well. But I have to say that I think that one would have been a little bit harsh.
Well, there was, as you say, feisty game, especially in the first half. 7 yellow cards in total, 5 of which came in the first half. The second half is just Shamal George for time wasting, and then Antonio Cholak late on. We'll move on then from Saturday's game, and we'll move on to the up and coming weekend. Another tough game for Livingston with Dundee United away. Livingston don't have an easy start. But there isn't really many easy games. Dundee United away is a hard place to go for any team, and off the back of a defeat to Rangers, despite a promising performance, you'll now be going to look there for your first points. And what are your feelings? What are your hopes?
Last season, I think if my memory serves me correctly, we had one defeat there and one win. Now I believe Alan Forrest, I think, scored the winner that day, as well. So I think we've got one win and one defeat there. Let's be honest, Dundee United are obviously in European action, so obviously the game is Sunday. So I am looking forward to that game. I think it's a game where you can maybe aim for the result. I mean, I think you'd probably say if you could get a draw out of that, then obviously it's a point off the board as well. But depends how Dundee United are from the European game as well. I actually fancy us to get something there. I fancy us to get maybe a draw, actually. Maybe a draw.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, having something sandwiched in between two European games, potentially, Dundee United's biggest ties of maybe even the last decade. It is going to be there's going to be tired legs, and a lot of people won't be able to focus because they will be looking forward to the Thursday after. So yeah, I agree. It's going to be a difficult tie for both sides, and hopefully a good watch. What I would also say is that it doesn't stop there with a difficult month. You've got Hibs at home, then Motherwell away, and then Aberdeen
Yeah.
away. So it's not
Yeah.
an easy start. However, you then see once you come out at the end of the storm there, you can see, and have a proper look and see how resilient Livy were. I mean, you could come out of this month with realistically 5 promising performances and nothing to show for it. So
Yeah.
it is a tough time maybe to be a Livy fan, and so I'll just go on that. Obviously not just this month, but the whole season. Looking ahead, only one game in. You've seen a bit of your team in the League Cup, which is obviously something it's got you through. You've got through in a tough group, to be honest. I mean, Kelty Hearts obviously massively overperforming last season. Inverness Cali, who always seem to start strong, and you've got yourself a tie against Dundee United in the last 16. How do you see this season going? And is the aim to stay away from the relegation battle, or do you go big and aim for top six?
Well, everyone, every season, every pundit is like, who's going to go down? Who's going to go down, right? So they always seem to pick Livingston 12. Now, whenever that has happened, we have either been, obviously last season really hurt, finishing seventh, being best of the rest was very, very good. But that last game against Motherwell will always hurt because we were a Ricky Lammy scored in the 96th minute. I was at this game. We played very, very well. We went 2-0 up very, very quickly. And the Motherwell scored an absolute cracker. Callum Slattery, I think it was, got the first one. And then just don't defend our lines, don't defend the corner, and obviously Ricky Lammy gets the equaliser. So seventh place, I'm actually looking to build on that. If I'm being honest, I think the top six is going to be very, very competitive. And also, I think if you look at this season as a whole, I think I would say either between sixth or seventh for me. I don't think we're going to get relegated. I think there are poorer teams that are there. I'm looking at obviously St Mirren and St Johnstone, and they've lost a few key players, like obviously Jack Alnick at St Mirren, but Sean Rooney at St Johnston. You know, they've lost it. But then again, so have we. We've lost a few good players. So I think in the league, I would probably say between sixth and seventh, because I would definitely take that. League Cup, I'm not sure, because I would say if we can get past United, you never know. You never know. I mean, we made the final couple of seasons back as well. Scottish Cup, again, we made the quarters there last season. So I would say between sixth and seventh in the league, and then I would say quarterfinals, League Cup, and then maybe like round of 16 for the Scottish Cup.
Just touching on a point you made there, losing a couple of key players. The first one I'll go on to is obviously he stayed in Scotland, is Alan Forrest, your second top scorer last season and joint top assister, 10 contributions in the league, behind only Bruce Anderson. So obviously he had a massive impact, and that's been spotted by Hearts, who clearly finished third. There was no debate about them. So that's a big move for himself. And he's clearly been spotted and probably scouted by more than just them. How important is it, losing him, and have you got a replacement?
To be honest, I think to say that Alan Forrest is going to be a very good signing for Hearts is an understatement. We've already seen from the weekend that he has scored. In terms of replacements, I mean, we've obviously we've got Montano there. We've obviously got Andrew Shinnie there as well. I mean, we haven't really signed anyone to sort of replace Alan Forrest, which is interesting. But I think we've got cover there. We've definitely got cover there. I think Andrew Shinnie has been a bit unlucky because he came into the team, he played Celtic, scored the winning goal, and then got a really silly injury, and then was out for most of last season as well. So this is definitely his time to shine as well. I have to say, I think the biggest loss for me is definitely Craig Sibbald. I think Craig Sibbald at Dundee United, I feel very sorry for Craig Sibbald because he had a torrid time last season. He had obviously had COVID. He had a lot of injuries as well. So I was disappointed that, we let him go. Keegan Jacobs has gone to Arbroath. I think that's a fantastic signing for them. Obviously, Marvin Bartley has retired. Jack McMillan's gone to Partick as well. So, whenever we start a season, we always seem to lose good players. And I'm quite surprised that we've managed to keep the legs of obviously Max Striek, who I expect to probably go before the transfer window closes. Jack Fitzwater, he was being touted for the likes of Newcastle, Burnley, Watford last season as well. So whenever we lose players, we always seem to bolster bolster the ranks, if you like to say that. So it's going to be an interesting season. Let me just say that. But I'm hopeful that the players that have obviously come in will obviously do well. And obviously, I wish Alan Forrest well, because he's got his. I mean, he loves the goal against Hibs when he was at Livingston. So he's obviously got that chance to do it at the weekend against Hibs at Easter Road. So I have to say that Alan Forrest was a very, very good signing for us. Came out of the blue as well when we were sort of touting him for Ayr United, but he did well at Ayr United, did well at Livingston, so I've no qualms about him doing well at Hearts.
Yeah, just a kind of final point on the team is, as I mentioned before, Bruce Anderson was your top scorer last season, 11 goals, and then the 4 assists as well. So he's involved in 15 of the goals last season, which is pretty good numbers considering, especially the 11 goals. I think the top scorer finishes on, is it 13 or 14 goals? So he's not far off that.
Yeah.
Can he replicate those numbers this season?
I'm hopeful. I am hopeful, but it all depends on if Joel Newbley keeps him out of the team or not. But I think what's going to happen this season, with obviously so many games coming thick and fast, because obviously we have the World Cup in obviously November, I do expect some rotation. I do expect obviously some games maybe Newbley will probably be on the bench, and then probably Anderson will probably start. But what I think you'll see is Newbley will probably start more games, and I think Anderson will come off the bench. I am hopeful, because he did have a few key goals last season for us, so I am very, very hopeful that he can replicate that. But if he gets anything between 5 to 10 goals, I'll be happy.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. So I'll just touch on one final point, a kind of big point and a big character in the Scottish game is obviously your manager, David Martindale. And he's been about for a couple of years now. Had a superb start when he came in, and obviously with no disrespect meant to Livingston, it was going to be hard to keep it at that standard for as long as possible. But he has more than steadied the ship and definitely brought the standards up. Obviously, recently his professionalism has been questioned a little bit after some post-match comments made against Rangers. And then obviously he features on a Rangers podcast. Now, I'm not sure if these complaints know that David Martindale can't time travel and go back and change the results, but I did just want your thoughts on the whole situation.
Bizarre, ludicrous. People forget he was a Rangers supporter when he was younger. So I think people just need to remember that he was a Rangers supporter when he was younger. So all this talk about him deliberately losing to Rangers at the weekend is absolutely nonsense. Look, he is a very, very good man manager for me. And yeah, he's a breath of fresh air in his press conferences. Like the post match against Rangers, like all right, he was calling like Scotty Arfield Scotty and like James Tavernier Tav, but that's what David Martindale does. That he has nicknames for these kind of players as well. So I just think the whole thing has been sort of started by Celtic fan pages who just basically lives rent free in their heads. I think the whole thing is ludicrous, to be honest, but I'm standing by my manager, and if he wants to go on a Rangers podcast, he can go on a Rangers podcast. I don't care about that.
Yeah, well, just on that, obviously a big part of them backing up their own decision is they think that Livingston fans, those who are complaining, think that Livingston fans should be angry. So I'm guessing you're not angry with them.
No. I'm not angry. I'm not angry at all. And I think if you spoke to any Livingston supporter, I don't think they'd be mad either. Because everybody knows that he was a Rangers supporter when he was younger, growing up, and obviously I think think it was Bells Hill. I think he was growing up in. So that's kind of a sort of a Rangers side, isn't it? So I honestly cannot fathom why people would be angry at that. But no, for me, I'm not mad about it. He's our manager at the end of the day, and I think this is what you want from sort of managers. As well, just to be sort of more open and honest with themselves. And, obviously, if he wants to go on a Rangers podcast, then, if the club give him permission to do it, then, you know what? People can do what they like in their spare time. It's not all about, obviously, football. You can spend time with your family. You could basically spend time on, like, doing podcasts and all this nonsense. So, yeah, for me, I just think the whole thing has been blown out of proportion.
Absolutely, and just on that point personally, obviously, one, it is not like Livingston ever roll over to Rangers. It is always a struggle for Rangers, especially at the Tony Macaroni Stadium. The only other thing, I would say is I actually think something that Scottish football fans and of the SPFL are a big fan of is the way we do things a little bit different. And I think
Mm-hmm.
having David Martindale on fan media, involved in podcasts, I mean, I would be more than willing for other managers to do it, and I would love to see it happen because it's a way to connect with the fans, and it's something that we definitely need more of in Scottish football. So I'll agree with you on that point, and I personally also don't see anything wrong with it. So if Davy Martindale wants to hop on here with us, then he's more than welcome.
Yeah, definitely. And he'd be some guest as well because he's quite a character on and off the pitch.
Yeah, well, I can imagine, definitely. Well, thank you very much for your time, Douglas. And if you guys want to follow him on social media, his links will be below. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.